I've lived in the Oak Hollow neighborhood for about 6 quiet years. Tidy lawns, mailboxes with little flags, the occasional barbecue on weekends. It's the kind of place where people wave whether they know you or not. I work from home, mostly freelance graphic design, and I like my solitude. My house sits near the end of a cul-de-sac, backed by woods that stretch into state land. Peaceful, predictable. At least, it was until two strangers showed up pretending they were with the HOA. We technically don't even have an HOA. The original developer dissolved it when the final homes were sold off a decade ago. So when two men in cheap Navy uniforms came knocking, claiming to be compliance officers from the neighborhood association, I was more confused than concerned. At first, it was a Thursday evening, around sunset. I just poured a cup of tea and settled on the couch with a sketch pad when the knock hit the door 3 quick pounds, sharp and demanding. I remember freezing, pen in midair. It wasn't the knock of a neighbor or a delivery. It had that edge, like someone trying to assert power before they even spoke. I looked through the peephole. Two guys, one tall and thin, wearing a badge that looked like it came from a costume shop. The other was built like a linebacker, arms crossed, jaw tight. Both stood stiff as boards. No clipboard, no real paperwork, just a manila folder and too much attitude. I cracked the door, kept the chain latched. "Can I help you?" I asked, already uneasy. The tall one spoke with an artificial authority. "We're with the Oak Hollow Homeowners Association. You're in violation of several ordinances. We need to conduct an interior inspection." That's when my stomach sank. There were red flags everywhere. No advance notice, no documentation. And like I said, we haven't had an HOA in years. I told them that. I said, "We don't have an active association, and even if we did, no one comes inside uninvited." But they didn't back off. The short one took a step forward, practically bumping the door. "You can either cooperate now or face escalating penalties." His tone wasn't bureaucratic, it was threatening. I was about to shut the door in their faces when the big guy slammed his foot in the gap. The door jolted. My tea sloshed. That's when it shifted from weird to dangerous. I tried to push back, but he barreled in like a battering ram. The chain snapped clean off. I stumbled backward as they stormed in like they owned the place. Everything after that happened fast. They spread out tall, one rifled through books and drawers. The other one pulled open cabinets, knocked over picture frames. "Where's the safe?" one of them barked. That's when I realized this wasn't about rules or regulations. This was a setup, a scam, a robbery disguised as compliance. And I was alone. At least, that's what they thought. I kept my hands visible, trying to stay calm, trying to buy time. "You've made a mistake," I said. The tall one smirked. "The only mistake was yours, leaving the door open." I don't know if it was adrenaline or instinct, but I took 2 steps back toward the hallway and gave a soft whistle. Nothing loud, just enough. They didn't catch it, but something else did. A low, rumbling growl came from the shadows at the end of the hall. Not the kind of bark you get from a German shepherd or a lab. This was deeper, ancient. a sound that freezes blood before the brain even processes danger. They both paused. From the darkness stepped Brutus. Now, most people think I'm exaggerating when I say he's part wolf, but he's registered as a high-content hybrid, 85% gray wolf, the rest Malamute. He's calm with me, loyal, quiet. But the moment he senses threat, something wild comes alive in him. His eyes locked on the intruders, his head lowered, his lip curled. You could hear the low vibration in his chest. The bald one actually stepped back, eyes wide, breath hitching. Is that a dog? No, I said. That's a warning. They froze. For a long second, no one moved. Then the short one idiotically reached for something in his coat. I saw a flash of plastic, a stun gun. Too late. Brutus lunged, a streak of fur and fury. He hit the big guy square in the chest and dropped him like a bag of bricks. Teeth bared, jaws inches from his throat, paws pinning him to the floor. The guy didn't move. He didn't even breathe. Just lay there, whimpering. While Brutus hovered like a shadow of death, the tall one scrambled back, knocking into a side table. He didn't try to run. He just stood there, shaking, mouth half open, probably rethinking his life choices. I took out my phone, dialed 911. My voice was calm as I spoke. Yes, I have 2 intruders in my home. One is neutralized. The other is about to pass out. The dispatcher kept asking if I was safe. I told her, I'm safer than they are. Within minutes, the sirens came. Blue and red lights bounced off the living room walls. I didn't even have to unlock the door. They'd left it ajar themselves. 3 officers came in fast, weapons holstered but hands ready. Then they saw the scene. Brutus still had the bald guy pinned. The tall one had both hands up, knees buckling. The officers took it in with a kind of stunned silence. One of them muttered, "What the hell?" I raised my hand slowly, nodding toward Brutus. He's trained. He won't move unless I say. The lead officer blinked, then chuckled. Not your average alarm system. They cuffed both men. Read them their rights. I found out later, these guys had been running a fake HOA scam across multiple counties posing as enforcers, targeting homes with single residents, robbing them blind. Most people didn't have proof. Some were too scared to report. But this time, they picked the wrong address. As they hauled them out, the bald one glanced over his shoulder, probably still thinking about those teeth inches from his jugular. One of the younger cops laughed. Guess that's what you get when the HOA meets the house of a wolf. I shook my head. The adrenaline finally starting to fade. Brutus sat beside me, calm again. Tail curled around his paws. I ran a hand through his thick fur. Good boy, I whispered. The officers left. The house quieted. The tea had gone cold on the table. Picture frames were cracked, and the door chain hung useless from one screw. But I'd never felt more secure in my life. You never know what a home is hiding. Some have alarms. Some have cameras. Mine has a wolf. And the next time someone shows up pretending to be something they're not, they better be ready to meet him too.